The topic in question is divorce in the Christian faith and how each variant perceives the topic. Divorce is a term for a separation or dissolution of a formal relationship which drives the break of a connection between two people, mainly pertaining to husband and wife. In the 16th century, the first signs of divorce heavily impacted the rules of the Catholic Church due to the Reformation over England. In 1857, divorce again affected the Catholic Church, with the Matrimonial Causes Act being able to let people divorce. The variants involved in this topic are between Catholic and Anglican perspectives. The Catholic Church and the Anglican Church have very strong and different views about the subject of annulment, as this topic was what led the King of England to, during the Protestant era, to break off and create the Anglican variant. In this topic, the Anglican variant has a large advantage in the eyes of the people that follow it. This is due to how in the Catholic Church, lay people are only given one chance at marriage and cannot remarry ever again under most circumstances. In the Anglican Church, people are allowed to remarry more than once under certain circumstances where it requires full seriousness on the matter. Such terms and requirements is that remarriage is strictly decided by the clergy by asking questions to the people on how devoted or committed they are in creating a relationship. The Catholic Church is at an all-time disadvantage when it comes to the topic of divorce, as remarriage within the Church is not an option. The only time remarriage can only occur within the eyes of the Catholic Church is only when the spouse has passed away, as a divorce or annulment could not have possibly occurred. Within the scriptures of Mark, Jesus has told the Pharisees the reason why divorce is not to be an option under his will nor God's will. But at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. When they were in the house again, the disciples asked Jesus about this. He answered, anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another man, she commits adultery. Again, the Anglican Church takes full advantage even to legal terms of divorce. The reason why, however, is because this variant takes consideration of marriage which can fail, which are fully recognized by them, meaning that the Anglican Church is not so hard with the topic compared to the laws and regulations of the Catholic Church. In order for annulment to occur within the Anglican Church, there must be a valid and satisfactory reason to why the marriage has supposedly failed. Before 2015, when Pope Francis made annulment or divorce slightly easier to be done, it was very hard to let two people separate under the eyes of the Catholic Church, as the scriptures of the Gospel were and still are heavily supported with not allowing a divorce to occur, as it would contradict the statements of Jesus. In the scriptures of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verses 19, it clearly states, they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and given them to the young woman's father, because this man has given an Israelite virgin a bad name. She shall continue to be his wife. He must not divorce her as he lives. In this Bible verse, divorcing from your spouse should not occur, as it would affect your right of celebrating the Eucharist. Within the ground terms of Catholicism, annulment being made even easier under legal terms of the Pope would defy the scriptures made from Jesus and various other sources relating to the subject. In Matthew chapter 19, verses 6, Jesus has said, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. This supporting piece of evidence would corrupt the Catholic Church and the sacrament of marriage itself due to how it could easily be affected.
A major reason as to why people do not agree with the issue of divorce is due to the fact that when people marry each other, they form a covenant together, that they will love and be with one another until death. And many people find it unethical and unjust when couples simply break this vow. However, some people may agree and support divorce, as couples may face domestic problems and complications such as violence, abuse, and adultery. These people may have loved each other at one point in time, but this may have changed due to problems and complications in their relationship. Ultimately, it is against the laws of the Catholic Church to get a divorce. However, they do allow annulments. There are many reasons as to why couples may decree or ask for an annulment in the Catholic Church. However, the Church only allows annulments for legitimate and valid reasons. A main reason for receiving an annulment is if the sacrament of marriage was invalid or if the spouses didn't even intend on entering a permanent and faithful relationship. Even if the couple intended on entering the marriage in a valid and faithful way, there are also many other factors that could have obstructed the sacrament's legitimacy. However, the reason for an annulment must be a grave or serious one, and the Church usually insists that a major impediment must have been present at the time in which the wedding or sacrament took place. Another valid reason as to why an annulment would be decreed is if the spouses had drug or alcohol problems or certain psychological disorders that may have made them incapable of assuming the duties of a husband or wife. Annulments are also made due to cases of bigamy, force, or incest. A passage that supports the Catholic Church's stance on divorce and annulment is 1 Corinthians 7:9. A wife is bound to her husband as long as he lives, but if her husband dies, she is free to be married to whom she wishes, only in the Lord. This is the reason why the Catholic Church only offers annulment and not divorce, as through this they are obeying the laws within the Bible and living a true Catholic life. An annulment is sometimes referred to incorrectly as Catholic divorce, but there is a key difference between divorce and annulment. Firstly, the term divorce refers to a civil decree from the state. From here, you receive a license and or a divorce decree. Whereas the Catholic Church celebrates the sacrament of matrimony and the Church alone can issue an annulment. Another key difference is that after a divorce, the state acknowledges the fact that a marriage actually took place but is now over and marriage rights are removed, whilst the Church, after an annulment, believes that the sacrament of matrimony never even occurred in the first place. A very controversial topic in our world today is one's ability to remarry even after divorce. However, the Catholic Church believes that if one divorces in the eyes of the state and have not received an annulment, they cannot remarry. Also, the Church will offer an annulment if the reason is deemed satisfactory. Hence, those who only divorce in the eyes of the state have not had a valid reason. In Luke 16:18 it states, "Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery, and the man who marries a divorced woman commits adultery." This backs up and supports the Catholic Church's view on divorce, as they are anti-adultery and pro-love. From the beginning of the origin of the Catholic Church, the Church has not allowed divorced and remarried couples to receive communion. This is so as if they remarry without an annulment, they are committing adultery, a mortal sin. In early 2016, Pope Francis stated, "This is the last thing. Integrating in the Church does not mean receiving communion for those remarried without an annulment." However, in November later that year, he gave Catholics the green light for divorced and remarried couples to receive communion, but only if they consulted their parish priest first. Throughout time, all Christian variants have had one mission in common, one goal that they all wanted to achieve: unity among all Christians. Although all variants have aimed to achieve this. It is yet a complex goal. Coming together to a common ground with other variants would dramatically reduce many of the arguments that common Christians have with each other. The unity within diversity that would be achieved would bring different cultures and communities together, inspiring a wider variety of people to practice their faith proudly. An annulment, sometimes referred to as a decree of nullity, is quite different to a divorce. It is essentially a declaration that the marriage never took place in the first place. If there is reasonable proof that the bond between two parties was invalid since the first day of marriage, an annulment will be considered. This process can take between 9 to 24 months. Many annulments are made every year. In fact, the average is 50,000 every year. In marriage in the Catholic Church, it is believed that the two become one flesh in a union joined by the Lord God Himself. In Mark 10:8 it states, "Therefore, what God has joined together, no human being must separate." Hence, through divorce, people are disrespecting the Lord God and His wishes. However, someone may be in an abusive relationship and may wish to divorce their partner for safety reasons. It would also be seen unethical if the church were to deprive someone from fleeing an abusive relationship where one's life was at risk. Hence, it depends on many various factors of the situation in order to determine if divorce in itself is ethical.